Start. We're live. Hey everybody, it's Bruce here with Traveling with Bruce. Welcome to my live broadcast. Here we are on Tuesday, January the 9th. Is it the 9th? Yeah, it's the 9th. And winter is upon us, people. What can I say? Those of you who follow me on on Twitter, I have to apologize to you. I was trying to do a live, for the first time ever, I was trying to do a little live sort of an announcement about the fact that I was going to go on the air today. And I went on Twitter and I grabbed my iPhone 6, you know, latest technology from Apple, which of course leaves me way behind because I'm old technology. And I see some viewers come on in. Welcome in there, folks. Anyway, I'm on Twitter today, and I'm trying to do a live little pre-announcement about this YouTube event. And the first one I did, I couldn't figure out how to get the phone to turn the picture around so I can see myself on the screen of the phone. I had to actually turn the back of the phone at me. And of course, you know, the camera's working perfectly fine, but I can't see what is happening on the other side of the telephone. So of course, I would grab the phone and I would apologize to the people showing you my living room and the mess that it's in to see what, if anything, was going on there. And eventually I figured it out. About a half an hour later, I signed off and I came back on, and I figured out how to use my smartphone where I could just tap it. Apparently, you just touch it. That's all you have to. You just have to touch. There's no buttons. There's no toggle switches. Just touch it, and now the phone just all of a sudden you're looking at yourself, and here you go. Oh, man, I'll tell you, people, I am I can say I'm just a rank amateur when it comes to this. I'm trying a couple of things right now. I don't know if it's working. I'm just winging it here. I'm looking at myself on my own channel. I see there's a delay there. I'm not sure how it's working. I want to make sure you folks are getting a good picture and everything is working out okay. So if you are watching me right now, send me a little, just say hi on the little chat box there, and just tell me the name of the town or state, you know, city and state. Where are you? In Canada, the U.S., Europe? Let me know you're actually watching. My computer screen says there are 2 people watching right now. We'll see how this goes as the morning goes on, or as the afternoon wears on, and hopefully the word got out. Anyway, oh, Crash X, you're back. Hi, Crash X, you're here. How's the weather in, is it Ottawa? Are you in Ottawa, Ontario? For those of you in the U.S. who are watching this, we're going to watch this later tonight. Yesterday it was about +1 Celsius. That would put it at about 34 degrees. We were around 35 degrees yesterday here in Creston, BC, and we're about the same today. We actually have rain outside falling on our snow. So what can I say? It's just awful. Yeah, Ottawa, Ontario, way to go. Today I wanted to come right back and do another live. I did a live yesterday. It was sort of my first official live YouTube broadcast. Want to do another one again today, as I am figuring out how this whole thing works and improve on its logistics. I'm throwing the floor open to whatever questions people want to ask about traveling and whatever comments they want to make about going on a cruise and that kind of thing. Looks like -2 in Ottawa. Hey, Ricky, I got your name there. Cheers. -2 in Ottawa right now. About +1, +2 here in Creston. So, you know, what can we say? At least it isn't, you know, 25 below or anything like that, and we don't have a blizzard in our midst at this point. So we'll take that any old time. Couple of updates for you folks who are new to my channel. I noticed last night after I did my live telecast, for the video goes on my YouTube channel like a regular video. So those of you who find my channel looking up any information about cruising, how to find a good deal on a cruise or what have you, my video will pop up as a suggested video from time to time. And you might find that when you go onto my channel, you actually went to my channel because you wanted to find out something about a repositioning cruise or a tipping on a cruise. And then as you're watching that video, you'll notice on the right-hand side of your screen, I guess this is the right-hand side of your screen, you'll notice all the other suggested videos that YouTube is giving you, of which a bunch might be mine. And you may find that you stumble into my channel and then you realize, oh, he did a live today. And so I had people watching my live broadcast last night, all yesterday afternoon, all last evening, even this morning. And some folks are watching 10 minutes of it, 20. I have some people watching 35, 40 minutes of my live broadcast from yesterday, which is fantastic. I tried to cover as many topics as I could yesterday. I sort of left it wide open, and I really leave it to the viewers to, throw me questions that they want answers to. Although I have a set list of ideas to talk about. I got another one today here with my notes. And ask me whatever you want about cruising. Ask me anything you want about going on a trip. Going to Europe for a holiday, or getting a resort somewhere. Charter deals. It's travel. Fire away. I'm more than happy to try to answer your questions for you. I guess you can look at me as sort of I'm a travel aficionado, I think. And I sort of consider myself to have to be like a travel agent, but that's never been one. I've always prided myself on booking my own holidays. I've rarely ever had to use a travel agent. I certainly used them up until about the 1980s and early 90s, but ever since the 90s, I've done my own booking for my own trips. Whether the old days where I was able to figure out the best deal for airfare from one city to another, and I would call, say I was going to Las Vegas, I would call Las Vegas, talk to the resorts there, and I would book my own room over the phone. I would call the airline, book my own flight, for my wife and I through the airlines. Nowadays, of course, it's all done online since basically the mid '90s, obviously. But I've always considered myself to be my own travel agent, because I think I can find myself just as good a deal, if not better, than travel agents. Nothing against travel agents, by the way. When I was working in the financial business, I had my own travel agent who helped me with business trips and that type of thing. I would have my secretary contact the corporate travel agent, tell them what I needed. And usually my business trips, like most business trips out there, at least I would say in the 80s and 70s and 80s, they were sort of last minute things. You had like a week's notice to get your butt down to head office so they could give you crap. So you book a flight and a hotel and off you go. Well, I'd leave that to the travel agent, because at the office I didn't have the time to spend to drop everything and spend 3 hours to save an extra $100-200. Plus, who am I kidding? It was the boss's money. Okay, it wasn't my money, so what do I care? So in those days, let the travel agent take care of it. But when it came time to my money, my dollars, of which they're limited, that's where it changes, and that's where I take care of it myself. And I prided myself on finding the best deal, the best flights, and the best combination of flights. Sometimes you can find a flight that's so cheap, you're going, oh, what a great deal. Then you realize, 36 hours from point A to point B, and it should be 8 hours at most, 5 hours if it's a direct flight, and it's a 36-hour deal, and you're going to save $80. I don't think so. What's your time worth, right? So some of these deals are too good to be true. Well, they're not that good. Let me just take a quick peek at my note here. Ricky, I've been on a cruise. Critics at same topic is always up about dress code. I personally dress relaxed and casual, no ironing required. Sandals, t-shirts, capri, husband polo shirts, and khakis. Oh yeah. The first cruise I ever went on, for any of those you folks who are just watching and haven't signed in yet, the first cruise I ever went on was a cruise I look back upon fondly, because I enjoyed it so much. I went with another couple who had been veterans of cruising. They'd done about 15 cruises and had been on me for years to go on a cruise. And finally, they convinced my wife and I to take them up on an offer where we go as two couples in two separate units. And we really had a good time. But in those days, and things are changing so fast now. But this first cruise would have been in 07 or 08, 2008. And in 08, they still had formal nights, officially formal nights for the dining room. And you didn't get in without a suit and tie. Nowadays, it's much more relaxed. But prior to the 2000s, back in the 90s and the 80s, oh man, when my parents took a cruise, I know they took a cruise through the Caribbean. They did another cruise to Hawaii and back out of San Francisco. My dad packed with him his tuxedo. which I think he had for 20 years. And, you know, he used it once or twice a year. I mean, New Year's Eve, I guess he would use the tux, but when the idea came up that my parents were going to go on a cruise together, oh wow, Dad brought out the tux and brought out his the frilly white shirt with the frilly front, and he found his black bow tie, and he was wise enough, smart guy. He was wise enough to try it on 2 weeks before the cruise, just to make sure it fit. And if it was a little tight, he'd go to the tailor or he'd buy another pair of pants or whatever he had to do. And the shirt, mom would inspect the shirt. My mom would be all over his tuxedo, shirt. And he'd had to have a couple of them, and they had to be spotless. Otherwise, he's getting a new one. She's not going to be caught dead seeing her, having her being all dolled up with this schmuck with a stain on his tuxedo shirt. Not going to happen. So, I mean, my dad took a tuxedo with him on a Caribbean cruise, and he also took, I think, a suit, and then he took his regular schlep clothing. My mother, on a 7, 8, 9 day cruise, 8 dresses, 5 different pairs of high heel shoes, her best jewelry. I mean, there's no fooling around here. This is serious stuff. And so, yeah, my parents, those are the old, we call that now the old days. Cruising isn't the same anymore. Just mentioning to anyone viewing, I think I see 3 viewers now on the channel. If you're watching and the signal is coming through okay or not, send me a little message. Hit the text and just tell me what town you're from, what country are you, what state are you in. Let me know where you are, just to make sure you're there. If you're getting the signal okay, hit the thumbs up button and let me know. That would be just terrific. But back to dressing up for a cruise, a formal night and stuff. Like I said, in 08, when I went on my first Caribbean, or this was a Mexican Riviera cruise on the Holland America Oosterdam with my wife and another couple. It was our first ever cruise, and there were 2 formal nights. And the couple I went with, the husband brought a tuxedo. I couldn't believe it. And this guy, I love this guy. He's a real good friend of mine, and I'd never seen him wear a tie in the decades I've known him. Super guy, and he and his wife. We decided we would, we'd go out for dinner. Their dinner time was maybe 7:30, whatever it was, and that they would come by our room about 7:15, and and they got there early. They got there about 7:10, and my wife and I were still scrambling to get dressed. And all I had was a jacket. I brought a jacket and my polo shirts and my khakis, and I'm trying to remember if I brought a white shirt and a tie. I may have, but I'm not sure if I really did. But that was acceptable enough. If you had a jacket on, it passed as formal night. But I think I had a shirt and tie. But he was in his black tux, and he looked fine. He looked pretty darn good. He was a 10 out of 10, and his wife was gorgeous. She had a beautiful gown on, and they were dressed to the nines. And this was their time to be dressed up and really enjoy the whole deal. It was fantastic. So this going out on cruising and stuff, formal nights, nowadays, I'm not sure how it goes, with all these specialty restaurants out there. Some of them, like if you're in some of the higher end specialty restaurants where it costs you more to get in, I don't know if they require you to even be dressed formally. You may be able to walk in there with a polo shirt and khakis. Not sure about shorts. But what I do notice on a cruise is a lot of folks who go on these cruises still use the cruise as an excuse to pull out their best clothing. And why not? You're on a holiday, and it's a dream come true for a lot of people to do a cruise for the very first time, or first time in 10 years, or whatever it might be. And this is your chance to pull out your best shoes, your best dresses, your best outfits for the guys, and get all dolled up for that evening out, and then after the dinner, go see a show, and nowadays you can watch Broadway shows in the theaters. It's fantastic, And then after that, go to the casino like James Bond, wearing a tuxedo, and pull the slot machine for a little bit. And the other gamblers will kind of go, oh, look at these two folks. Wow, they stand out. Well, you'll be looked at. There's no doubt about that. Then, of course, on board the ship, you have the photographers. You have the official ship photography department. A lot of people get portraits taken on board these cruise ships, and this is the only time that they really formally are dressed up to the nines to have some formal photos taken by a pro with the perfect lighting. And talk about a perfect background. I mean, some of these shots are taken right in those, 5-story tall atriums in the middle of the ship, or 8-story tall atriums. The background is fantastic, and you're looking like $1 million, and the photographer is just going to make sure that the photos are perfect, because now the cameras are all digital, and so they're taking these portraits of you, and they can immediately show you what the photo looks like, so you can see the finished version before they even print it off. And I'll tell you, it's fantastic, and it might cost a little more for an official photo to be taken on board a cruise ship, but who cares? It's a holiday, and you're going to treat yourself and spoil yourself. And it's a great memento to take with you, from the ship. Now, of course, the rest of us out there, guy like me, I'll take a selfie. My wife and I will do a selfie. Or, someone will see me taking a photo of my wife, and they'll say, oh, would you like to have me take a photo of you? Oh, sure, that'd be great. You hand them your phone, and they take a picture of you, and good enough for me, of course. But, if it's a special occasion like an anniversary, and or obviously a honeymoon, but if it's an anniversary, 25 years or something like that, or whatever it is, or it's a graduation gift for the child that's graduating, this is fantastic. A family cruise with family photos. We call it once in a lifetime, a special occasion type thing. Boy, knock yourself out, and use the pros on board the ship for that kind of stuff, and these photos will come out perfectly. There won't be any red in the eyes, no one will be blinking and squinting. You'll get the right shot, and you're good to go. But formal night on a cruise, it's sort of past as far as the old days go. I was saying yesterday on the live yesterday, my parents were on an ocean liner, 62. What I didn't say yesterday, though, for any of you who have happened to catch the video, is that my father came from Europe to Canada originally in 1952. And he came aboard a ship, an ocean liner, in 1952. But the difference at that time was that he came from Germany, which was dead flat broke in 1952. And I believe the first year that German nationals could actually come into Canada legally was 1951. So it took 6 years after the war before anyone from Germany could move to Canada as an immigrant. And my father applied, I think, almost as soon as possible. And by 52, he had the money and he got the passage to come over. But when he came over on the ocean liner, and my mother came about 6 months later, he had no money. He was broke. And, he had, maybe 2 pair of pants, a couple of underwear, some socks, a few shoes. He had nothing, everything in a, carry-on suitcase. I mean, we're talking flat broke. So there was no such thing as a fancy formal night in the dance hall. He wouldn't be allowed in there. I think he was traveling in third class. No, I won't call it steerage, but the third class level of the ship. There was obviously first class, second class, and then there would have been third class. And that would have been all he could have afforded. And yeah, the food, even the food in third class would have been better than the food he was eating back home where he had left from. So I mean, he probably gained weight on the crossing, and he could have used it because he was one thin guy when he came into Canada for the first time. And when my mother came over, same thing. She was in third class, and she had no money. She didn't have any fancy dresses to go to the fancy restaurants too, or the dance hall, nothing like that. She would have walked on the deck perhaps, and then read a book on deck. And then in the evening, she would have been back in her cabin and read a book there or a magazine or what have you. So in 1962, in particular, when my parents, myself and my sister, came from Germany back to Canada after my dad's deployment with the Canadian Army was up, the 6-7 day crossing on the Homeric, that was a whole different deal for my parents. Because now they had some money, and my dad did have a suit, and my mother had 10 dresses or more, and she was a seamstress. She made a bunch. She made her own stuff, and she had nightgowns like you couldn't believe. And of course, she had the shoes and the stockings, and she could afford the makeup, and she had her hair done just right. She always reminded me of a young Queen Elizabeth. She always looked like that. It was fantastic. And so my parents, every night after tucking my sister and I into our beds at night, getting us to sleep, they went out to the dance hall on board that ocean liner every night, and they just blended right into that crowd. And just to think that, my dad's case, from 1952 to 1962, 10 years later, to go from, steerage to virtually a first-class type existence. What a change. And that was a real accomplishment, and I know that we're very proud of it. I see right now, I think we got 4 viewers. Fantastic. Welcome to my channel, Traveling with Bruce. Welcome to my live broadcast today. If you wouldn't mind, just tell me where are you? Type in on the screen. Where are you watching me from? Are you in the U.S.? Are you in Canada? Are you in Europe? What town are you from, or state or province? And just say hi. If you have any questions, just type them on in, and I'll be happy to address any questions you have about cruising, going on a cruise, finding a good cruise deal, that type of thing. Your dad, Ricky says, your dad might have thought they were on the Love Boat. Yeah. You know what? They were on the Love Boat. They enjoyed themselves very much. They made no secret to the children. If you folks think out there that I and my sister didn't know that they were still fooling around, forget about it. We knew they were still fooling around, and there were rules in the house. If this bedroom is a rockin', don't even bother knocking. I'm telling you, they took trips, and they were lovebirds right along for years and years. They just had such a good time, and they set such a great example for me as a young man. I saw how my dad treated my mom, first class all the way, complete respect, and he worshipped the ground she walked on, and that's the way it was. And she was great. He was great. Tell you, they went on those cruises, and they went on holidays together, and then they would delight in telling us, where they went and what they did. And I got the bug from those two kids. Oh man, I want to travel when I grew up. Of course, we went on trips, family trips together, but some of the trips they took as adults, good stuff, just primo. A couple of messages here. Hey, Susan, I see you from Las Vegas. How are you, Susan? Welcome aboard. Okay, I want you to break our hearts, okay? The Crash 3X, Ricky's from Ottawa, and right now it's -2 Celsius. That would put it at about 28, 29 Fahrenheit. I'm in Creston, BC, and we're about 2 degrees Celsius in Canada here, so we're about 34, 35 degrees. Why don't you tell us what the temperature is in Vegas right now? Just kind of let us know and break our hearts. That way we'll be envious of you right off the get, okay? Let us know. Welcome to the channel. Anyone else who's watching, just let us know where you're from, and you have any comments or questions about taking a trip or going on a cruise or finding a deal, by all means. Let's see. Crash 3X, you cruised as a child. What did they do when parents went out for the evening? I assume no kids programs back then. Yeah, my parents would go out in the evening. Of course, the cruise that I had with my parents was the ocean crossing from Germany to Canada, Germany first, and then Germany to Canada on the way back from 59 to 62, when my dad was with NATO. He was in the Canadian Army, and they were part of NATO, stationed in West Germany at the time, 20 miles away from the East German border. And the transatlantic crossing, of course, had no stops. As soon as we left, I think it was Bremen, Germany, near Hamburg. As soon as we left land, we didn't see land again until we got to, I believe it was Montreal. And so it was 6 or 7 days, if I recall, in those days to cross. And so during the day, they had all kinds of activities for the kids, but the activities for the children were with the adults. There was no such thing of being able to drop your child off with like a daycare type deal. My sister was 4, I was 6. And my mom or my mom and my dad, or just my dad, would take us. We would go around different areas of the ship, and of course, first thing in the morning would be breakfast, and then would be time to maybe play shuffleboard on board the ship. It was warm enough outside, but during the daytime, from about I'd say 1 in the afternoon until about 4, there were kids activities planned by the ship's staff. And I remember steeplechase games and just all kinds of games. It was really terrible outside, rainy and cold, and high waves. Then we would all be indoor in the main ballroom, and they would set that ballroom as a giant playroom. And all around the perimeter of the room would be chairs for the adults to sit in and with the kids. And then the children would be invited into the main ballroom, and then we'd have all kinds of games. You name it. I mean, it was just endless. The ship activity coordinators, even in the 50s and the 60s, they knew their stuff, and keep the passengers busy, entertained, well fed, and happy. And you would forgive all kinds of sins, like a rocking boat or bad weather outside. And it's true today, and it was true then, big time. And so it was really a cool thing to experience as a young guy. Let's see here. Susan is saying 49 degrees and raining. Come on. Is it really? It's 12:25. Is it really only 49? I'm sorry if it is. I am sorry, because I know Vegas can be warmer. I also know Vegas can be cool. But 49, and it's still better than what we have. But what are you going to do? If you're getting some rain, it keeps the dust down, I suppose, Susan says, came in late. Have you talked about the Norwegian cruise that was caught in the storm that's been on the news lately? Not yet, but I'm going to. That is definitely on my to-do list. I talked about it a bit yesterday. I'll mention it again today. These cruises, the thing about the cruise lines that we have to remember is the cruise lines have a set schedule. They sell cruises, obviously, a year in advance, 2 years in advance. And in the case of Norwegian, out of New York, the getaway ship is booked at certain, departure days and certain arrival days at certain islands. And not only do they have to maintain that schedule for the passengers, they have to maintain that schedule with the port authorities. The New York harbor people do not just let anybody come into the harbor unannounced because you're late today. You can't just show up. You have to have permission to come into the harbor. They're going to have customs, border patrol patrols out there. They're going to have perhaps inspections, like customs inspections or safety inspections. But at the pier, which pier do you go to? The Norwegian cruise ship has got to go to the assigned pier that it has, because that's where all its onshore staff is. And also, they've pre-ordered the next cruise. They've pre-ordered all the booze, all the meat and vegetables, all the the ingredients, all the supplies. It's all there. They can't just decide, oh, we're going to park on the other side of the harbor over here. No. You can't be doing that. So these cruises are scheduled down to the minute. And these cruise ships have got to be back, when they're supposed to be back. Just checking any more messages here. We're in the middle of winter here, Susan. That's great. Again, if anyone else is watching that hasn't, let me know. Give us a thumbs up if you're getting the signal all right. Send us a little text telling me where are you, what country are you in, what state, what city. Just let us know where you are, so I can say hi to you, and you can say hi to us. Anyway, ask anything you want. Back to this Norwegian cruise. It's all over the media. When a cruise ship goes through a storm, the local TV stations delight in sending out their video trucks right to the pier, and they can't wait to talk to passengers getting off the gangplank. How was your cruise? These poor people they're all shook up, and they're just, they're frazzled at the edges. Some of them are, veterans of cruising, and others are complete newbies, and some can take it, and some, really find it distressing. And I get it. I mean, when you're on a cruise ship, you can't get off a cruise. You're 200 miles off the shore or 80 miles off the shore. You can't swim out. You're surrounded by waves that are, 5 stories high from top to bottom, And if you're in one of those rooms where you see like an ocean view with a porthole, you're low enough on the ship, it's possible that the wave hits the side of the ship and you're underwater by 10 feet, and all you see is it's water. And in the middle of the evening, you'll see stars, and then you see blackness because it's nothing but water in front of you for a second or two until the wave just recedes and you see the next one coming. There's all kinds of video showing up on YouTube, I'm sure, of people who've been on the cruise who are posting these videos, and they make great eye candy. They last a minute or two, and they're fun to watch, and more fun to watch than to be in, believe me. I've been on one of these kinds of cruises where you get caught in the winter storm. It is no fun. I totally empathize and sympathize with anyone caught in that. But back to the cruise company. Norwegian Breakaway had to be back in New York at a set time. They had the pier for so many hours. They could get there, but not too soon. They can leave, but not too late, because the pier will be used by somebody else for whatever purpose, later that day or before they get there, and so on. And so these cruise ships are on a schedule. And so I've seen reports where, the headline quote is, "Captain purposely drives ship through storm despite warnings." And well, yeah, kind of. Now, if the captain can skirt the storm a little bit or a lot, they will, and still make it on time. But if they can't, they'll take the best route and the shortest route, the most direct route, to quote get it over with as soon as humanly possible. The problem with the ship coming back to New York is that the storm is going with you. So if the storm is moving at 30 miles an hour and you're going at 30 miles an hour and you're kind of in the middle of it, you're going to stay in the middle of it for the whole darn trip. And that's the worst of it. And I think that's what a lot of folks are complaining about this cruise, that it just didn't end, just wouldn't stop. In our case, we were leaving New York heading down to the Caribbean. And we were supposed to go to Labadee, Haiti. So we're supposed to be at sea for 2 days and then get to Haiti for the day. Labadee, it's a private beach area that Norwegian has. And then, or this next case, Royal Caribbean, excuse me, in my case. And then we were supposed to go the next day to San Juan. And we were going through the storm. We were heading south. The storm was coming north. And we were supposed to, the strategy was, we're going to plow right through this thing. And the hope was, for passengers, we were praying that if we hit the storm at midnight, that by 9, 10 the next morning, we'd be through it, because we've gone 12 hours almost through the storm, and it was going the other direction for that 10, 12 hours. And you sort of do the math, we're going 20 miles an hour and it's going 40, 50 miles an hour. So that's 70 miles an hour, and it's 12 hours. That's 800 miles of distance, for the disturbance and the ship. The storm was 1,500 miles in diameter. It was gigantic. It was a monster storm that we went through. So it took us 30 hours even going through it to get through it. And we had up to 40-foot waves. And at times we had 110, 120 mile gusts of wind. Unbelievable. It was just crazy. I'm just going to look at my notes one more time. Anyway, that was just insane. I've seen videos of other ships going through, hurricanes and other, other systems and disturbances, where the pots are falling over and breaking, where the bar staff in the bars are purposely knocking all the bar stools over, keeping them on the side. And in some cases, like on the deck, the ship's crew, they'll get sent up there, 2 or 3 at a time with tethers, like they're tethered to the deck, and they are literally chaining the deck chairs to each other, and then to parts of the deck on board the ship. They'll they'll drag 20 of them into a secluded area where the wind will hopefully go over the a sheltered area in the ship. But even then, they'll still tether the loungers, with bungee cords and everything else, to parts of the ship, because the ship is not just the wind that's going to get and make things move, it's the movement of the ocean liner itself. And if you have too much tilting going on. Now you're going to have stuff going this way, stuff going this way. I have seen videos on YouTube where people are, getting tossed around. I saw one terrible video where there's a pole and a person was getting, moved, and they were on their feet and they couldn't stop, and they hit the pole face first and fell down. And you just feel for these folks. And of course, they're down on the ground, and now the furniture's coming behind them, and and then coming the other way behind, and then the staff is trying to get to this poor person to get him out of there and get him into a hallway at least where there's nothing going on and nothing spilling along. It can be quite violent, but captains of cruise ships are pretty pretty smart guys, and the entire staff on bridge, they have all the weather systems, they have all the radar systems. Plus, the other thing that you should keep in mind is that the folks at Carnival and Celebrity, Royal Caribbean, I should say, which owns Celebrity, Norwegian, and the other cruise lines, they have their offices staffed as well, and they've got emergency response teams there, and they're watching the weather as well. So a captain, before he even pulls out of a port, whether it's the beginning of the cruise or in the middle of the cruise, it doesn't matter when. The captain knows what type of seas to expect for the next segment of the cruise. He knows, or she knows, where the next storm system is. They've got the satellite imagery, like all the other weather stations. They have all the marine reports. There are buoys at sea that are moored to the bottom that send out radio transmissions all the time, telling the ships where they are, what the swells are like, what winds are like, the barometer, the temperature of the sea, all this stuff. So the amount of documentation or data coming into the bridge today is bar none world class. And so even if the radar system on the cruise ship is damaged for whatever happens to it, get hit by lightning or something like that, and the ship's radar systems are shot, they're down to their ham radio. I mean, we're talking, basic primitive stuff. Can't use a cell phone, can't do the internet. You're down to a ham radio. They can still communicate onshore through relay stations to the Coast Guard or to their home office to get emergency updates as to what they're facing. And so with a captain and the charts, they have the manual charts. They can figure out where they are manually. They don't need the satellite systems to figure it out. They're trained to do this. In other words, it's old school. And the passengers are oblivious. As long as we got power and the bar's going, we're doing what we can. Unless it's really bad and we're in our rooms, like I was, lying in bed just waiting for it to be over. The captains and the assistants up there, the navigators, they are handling it. They know what's going on, and they can basically fly that, drive that ship. They can power that vessel almost manually. They'll probably slow it down. Of course, the stabilizers, might be knocked out. Now we're really into a rock and rolling, but we're not going under. Okay, so that's how sophisticated and also how basic everything is. It can go, both ways. Let me just see any more comments. I'll catch you later, Crash X. Take care. Thanks for watching. Anyway, so this cruise, coming back to New York with Norwegian, yeah, it was a rough ride, and but I'll tell you something. They were loading the next group of passengers. If they came in that evening, the next day or whatever, they were loading up the next batch. And by the time that ship left on the next cruise, storm was over. A storm had passed, kept going to Boston and up to Maine and into Canada, of course, and wherever it went. And so now back south we go. But I talk about these cruises out of New York. I'm skeptical about taking a cruise out of New York since I've done it once and we got caught in a storm. I thought, oh geez, maybe summertime departure is the way to go out of New York, rather than chancing that that great cruise we bought 6 months ago. Gee, it's not such a good deal now because it's it's $600 for 8 days, but boy, or 9 or 10 days, but 2 days are cold going down, 2 days are cold coming up. We only got 6 warm days. It's not such a good deal. I may be better off flying on JetBlue or Southwest or another airline, getting a seat sale and flying from wherever I'm coming from, whether it's a New York area or Chicago or Canada, and making my way down to Florida, and then get on a cruise ship from Fort Lauderdale or Miami or Tampa, and book just a 7-day cruise out of Fort Lauderdale. And you know that you're going to get 7 warm days out of Tampa or out of Fort Lauderdale, whichever it is. And you know, if it's $550 or $650 and 100 for the airfare, 200 for the airfare, might be worth it because the chance of you getting a winter storm are nil. You could get a tropical storm, yes, but in December, January, February, March, not so likely. Hurricane season is come and gone, and so you can enjoy the best of the Caribbean at a pretty good price. So you know, there's always that. Now today I got another topic I'm going to talk about. It's an update, another update on a ship that we've nicknamed the Poop Cruise. Does anyone out there remember the Poop Cruise? By the way, I see 3 viewers out there. If you've joined this live, send me a little text. Tell me where you are. Tell me what city you're at, what state you're from. Let me know you're getting the signal okay. Hit the thumbs up button. Let me know you're okay. And tell me where you're at and ask me anything you want. In the meantime, I want to talk to you about the update on the Poop Cruise. Back in 2013, Carnival Carnival Triumph was the name of the ship, was cruising towards Mexico. And it was off the coast of Mexico when they had a fire on board the ship in the engine compartment. And the fire became quite intense quite quickly. And the staff on the cruise ship, which is highly trained to deal with this sort of thing, they had the fire crew people down there ASAP, and they battled that fire for a while, but they got it out. But the heat was so tremendous, so high, that it not only caused, there was damage from the flames, damage from the smoke, but damage from the heat. And it melted a lot of the electrical components in the engineering and the generator rooms where electricity is generated. And unfortunately, you know, if you've got engine problems with a cruise ship, you can still run the generator for electricity for the rest of the ship's functions. But if your generator station gets damaged badly and it knocks out all kinds of other substations on board and what have you, you get the power overload and everything's fried out, you now have no electrical power. And without electrical power, you are dead in the water. You don't have air conditioning working. You don't have the refrigeration working downstairs where they keep all the fresh food. You don't have the plumbing working. So you have no running water, no toilets, not even the public washrooms. You have no lighting on the in your room, no television to help pass the time. I mean, it's a complete shutdown. And so the only power left on board the ship is the emergency battery backup power, which is designed to power the bridge, allow the captain and his crew to contact the outside world to get emergency help in. And there's emergency lighting in certain areas of the ship, engine room areas and that type of thing, you know, whatever rooms haven't been damaged by the fire. Well, the Triumph was dead in the water off the coast of Mexico immediately. And at first, you know, people on board didn't know how bad it was, but then they noticed black smoke coming out of the smokestacks because they were able to vent the smoke out. However they did it, they were able to vent a lot of the smoke out through the exhaust systems, and they came out those two funnels that are like this on the Carnival ship. That's what they're famous for. And passengers began to realize, oh, geez, everything's in trouble. And of course, everything was off. Elevators were stuck where they were, and they had to send emergency crews to get the elevators going, which they could do with backup power. They could, you know, get it to the next floor, get people off the elevator, that kind of thing. And now the assessment began. And unfortunately, it lasted 6 days. The ship was in a location that was hundreds of miles away from help, and the Carnival people dispatched a serious-sized tugboat, the kind of tugboat that can tow a cargo ship. I mean, a big, you know, oil tanker weighted type ship, because that's what we're talking about with a cruise ship. We're talking 80,000 tons, 100,000 tons or more. So a tug was sent out, and it took 4 days or so for the tug, or 3 days to get to the ship, and then it took three and a half days to get the ship tugged back to port. No power, because the tugboat cannot supply power to the ship either. So these passengers had no way to get off, and there was nowhere to go to. Even if you put them in a lifeboat, where are you going to send the passengers? You're 100 miles offshore. the lifeboat cannot take you on shore 100 miles, not that kind of range. 200 people per, not a chance. And so the thinking was the best thing to do is keep the passengers on the ship and just tow the ship back to a port and get them off. Well, in the meantime, Mother Nature is calling. What are you going to do? And these poor folks had to go to the bathroom. Once or twice a day, you got to do what you got to do. And so the staff on board, trained as they are, they were trained for this kind of scenario. They provided bags to the passengers to put into their bathrooms. Hang on a sec. Matt, you're back. Well, way to go, Matt. Thanks for joining me. Viewer number 4, anyone out there who's watching and hasn't let me know, just type in your name or type in where you're from. Let me know where you're from and that you're there. Give me a thumbs up that your signal's coming out okay, and I'm a happy guy. Welcome, Matt. Ask anything you want. I'm just talking about the poop cruise from 2013, the Carnival Triumph. The staff on board, they handed out plastic bags, and the passengers had to take these bags and take them to their suites, and mainly to the balcony suites because they had daylight coming in from the outside world. Passengers on the inside suites, they're in the dark. Even if you opened your door to the hallway is dark. You can't see anything. And they were using their phones for a while as flashlights, but after 6 hours, guess what your phone does? Runs out of battery, and so you have no battery in your cell phone. And so these poor folks in the inside units, they would go to the public bathrooms, and the staff, they had people there to help out, and they would put these plastic bags inside the toilet bowl because the bowl had no water in it, remember. And then they would put the lid down to keep the bag, sort of connected to the rim. You would do your business, and then you would close the bag with a string to tie to keep the smell from permeating. And the staff would take the bag and take it away. They had airtight containers down below that they put all this in for disposal later when they got to port. And then they put a new bag in the toilet. So all these folks in their balcony suites had to pee and poo in these bags. And the smell, you couldn't stop the smell from permeating through the ship. You couldn't. It was impossible. And there were some toilets that no bags were provided, and they were full of, oh, and the smell. After the second day, third day, they would just close these bathrooms, put towels along the floor to not let any of the odor out as best they could. And they would bring the cleaning staff with detergent and try to nullify as much as possible. But with 2,500 passengers on a cruise ship for 6 days, 1,500 crew on top of that, no running water, you can imagine, or you can't imagine, the odor that was emanating out of this cruise. And so they nicknamed it the Poop Cruise. Well, it's not fair, but what are you going to do, right? Anyway, the story goes that the ship got back to port in Alabama. They serviced the ship. They made the repairs. Cost millions. How much was paid by insurance? We'll never know. Never did follow up on that story. And after a while, the ship was repaired. I think passengers got a full refund, of course. I think some of them got even a full refund and a free cruise. And then the cruise line made every effort they could to house them in hotels. As soon as they got off that ship, they got them looked after. They got laundry looked after, I'm sure, for them. They got them all arranged on their flights. I mean, Carnival went to the wall to look after their passengers. I'm 99.9 sure that if you talk to the passengers, they had a terrible time and a terrible experience on board the ship, but I doubt very many of them were really complaining afterward how Carnival did everything they could to help them out. But then again, some people may never forgive, and I get it. I totally understand you'll never forgive them for what happened, but what are you going to do? Anyway, now, update on the Triumph. Here it is. This is 2013. Today it's 2018. Well, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I'm not sure how long, not too long ago, the ship now is based out of New Orleans, and it now does 4 and 5 day cruises to the Caribbean, and it mainly goes to Cozumel and another port in Mexico, and then comes back to New Orleans. So it's a great 4 or 5 day ship, kind of a getaway ship. And they've been doing that now for a while out of New Orleans, and New Orleans is excited because they've got their own, home-based cruise ship. And they had an inspection from the CDC, disease control people. They do inspections on all vessels. If any vessel has a paying passenger on it, whether it's a ferry or a cruise ship, an ocean liner, you have to have these inspections. And these are sanitary inspections for all the systems, the kitchens, the air conditioning systems, the electrical systems, the refrigeration systems, you name it, plumbing, everything. And you have to get a set kind of a score. You have to have a certain score to pass a CDC inspection. For cruise ships, the number is 86. You got to have a score of 86 or higher to get a passing grade. Cruise ships take the CDC tests very seriously. Well, wouldn't you know it, they did an inspection on the Triumph, failed, got a 73. Oh no, they got a 73, and I'm sure they had passed inspections, since the poop cruise. They've passed inspections, but this particular inspection, they failed. Well, they released the report as to why and what caused the failure of the Carnival Triumph, and it came back that the dishwashing units, some of the dishwashing units, which there are numbers, a high number of dishwashing units. Remember, 3,700-800 people on board this thing with crew and with passengers, upwards of that many people at a time. How many dishwashing units do you have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? Well, some of the units failed and were found to be defective. The spray nozzles were defective and not working properly. There were some temperature issues, I think. There were some refrigeration issues. Temperatures weren't quite correct. One area of the kitchen that they inspected, and remember, the kitchen outside a cruise ship is huge. I mean, it's just massive length. But there was an area in the kitchen where they found flies. 8 flies were discovered in the kitchen. That is verboten. No flies or insects are supposed to be found ever in the kitchen area of a cruise ship. Chefs go crazy when this happens. Well, they found flies, and so it got a flunking grade of 73. So immediately, Carnival immediately went to work. And I wouldn't be surprised if they canceled a cruise right away. That gave them like 4 or 5 days to work on the ship. And they immediately threw out all the food on board the ship, all of it out, not even given away to homeless shelters. They would have gone right to the dump. They would have replaced either the nozzles or the heating systems, or complete dishwashing systems would be completely replaced. I mean, there was no money was spared to fix the problem and fix it now. And this ship was brought up to speed. I bet you within 48 hours, it was ready for the next inspection. And Carnival immediately made a request to the CDC, come on back with your guys and do a full-blown inspection, top to bottom. We are confident that we'll pass the inspection. And sure enough, they did. I just heard this morning, they passed the inspection. The score this time around, 98. 98. Now, I've seen scores of 93, 96, 97, 98. That tells you the CDC people could find nothing wrong. They had the white gloves on. I'm sure they had the white gloves on, and they were, checking for dust. They found nada. That ship, spick and span, everything worked to perfection. And I was saying in one of my videos about a week ago, when I mentioned it the first time, when I heard about the poop cruise and the ship failing this test, I thought, boy, I bet you that's the cleanest ship in the fleet of any cruise ship out there. All ocean liners, all cruise ships, I bet you the Carnival Triumph right now is the cleanest ocean liner afloat. And so if you want to go on a cruise where you're, kind of confident you're not going to get sick, I bet you the Carnival Triumph is one of them. So, yeah, I saw that this morning. Unbelievable. Looks like I've got another follower here. Chevy in first. Hey, hi, Bruce. I'm going on my first cruise, Carnival Conquest, in September. We have an interior room with an obstructed view at the front of the ship. Okay. It states that it's the handrail as an obstruction. Oh, right on. So you got like an ocean view room. Way to go. Welcome to my live stream broadcast. Fantastic. Where are you from? Let us know where you're from. I had a viewer earlier today from Ottawa, Ontario. Had another viewer from Las Vegas. I'm from Creston, BC. Tell me where you're from. What's your weather like? We're about We're about 29, we're about 34, 35 degrees out here in Creston today. So it's a slush fest. We even have rain falling on snow. It's terrible. Boy, would I like to be on a cruise right now. Way to go, your first cruise. This is great. I tell you, I remember my first cruise on the Holland America Oosterdam. I never forgotten the feeling, the build up to get, count the countdown. We're counting the days, counting the weeks, then we're counting the days to get there. My wife and I would look at each other and say, 6 days, 5 days, 3 days, we're going to be on a cruise. And I would look at her and I say, do you know that 4 days from now, you're going to be on a pool deck on a cruise ship? Can you believe that's what you're going to be doing? I mean, we were just so pumped up. Georgia, way to go. Thank you. You're from Georgia. Way to go. Warm today. We're in the 40s. In Vegas, it was 49 and raining. So what are you going to do? Well, I'll tell you, the countdown is on, and it just gets more exciting the closer you get. And then when you get to the cruise, you get to the city that the ship is departing from. Oh man, I'll tell you, it's an exciting day. It's a bit about. It depends on how you're getting there too. If you're getting there the day of the cruise and it involves a flight, it's kind of a nervous time because in the morning, you're getting to the airport on time, and then you're on the flight. Hopefully, it's not delayed. And if there's a connection, you're praying that there's no delay on the connection. And you make the city on time for the connection. But if it's a direct flight, chances are you should be okay. But if you get there the day before, which is what I like to recommend, at least the day before, you get that 1 day cushion to in case everything is screwed up yesterday, we still got here at midnight and we don't have to worry about getting on the cruise till the next morning. So, I always recommend people try and do that. But anyway, the day of the cruise, oh man, if you're going to the terminal and you're headed in the cab or in the you're on a shuttle bus from the airport, oh, you see the ship for the first time, way down there 2-3 miles away, you get a glimpse of the funnels, and oh, it's exciting. And the closer you get, the bigger the ship gets because they're big. Oh, it's just nothing like it. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a 6-day cruise to East Caribbean. It's 257 days. It's coming. Don't worry. It's coming. We're going to fly in a day early, and I already bought the Fast to Fun pass. Way to go. Okay, way to go. Flying in a day early. Oh, you're gonna be able to relax, stress-free. You also got time the day before or the evening before. Head on over to Walmart or a Kmart or a Costco or a Sam's Club. And if you're a wine drinker, buy a couple of bottles of wine, put 1 bottle in your suitcase, put 1 bottle in your husband's or friend's suitcase. If you are you like drinking soda or Red Bulls or any kind of other drinks, energy drinks, what have you, buy some of those, put them in your luggage. And when you get on board, you'll be able to put those cooler, the soft drinks and these other drinks into your refrigerator right in your suite. Tell the steward, the room steward that's looking after your room, he or she will introduce themselves to you when you get there. Tell them that anything in the fridge, just take it out, clean out the fridge, and put your own stuff in. And you don't have to pay those onboard prices for whatever you're bringing with you. Same thing with snacks. You love chocolate bars. I mean, who doesn't love chocolate? My wife loves chocolate. She'll bring her chocolate with her, her favorite candies, her favorite chips, or hickory sticks and pretzel, whatever she wants. She'll bring that on board too, and won't have to pay those cruise ship prices for that stuff. And you might save $100, $150 on some of this stuff. Hey, goes a waste. Everything pays for itself. Let's see. We're going to let's see what you're saying. Going to fly in a day early. We're going to shop for things we needed that we can't fit in the carry-on. Yep, like liquids. You can't take liquids on the carry-on anyway. I've already bought a camera, but that I can do with underwater shots. Yes, way to go. And for Matt says first cruise sounds exciting. You bet. Oh, this is going to be fantastic. Yeah, that first day, I'll tell you, it is something else. You get to the terminal. And outside the terminal, you think it's mayhem because you have to remember there are people leaving on the last cruise to getting off, and you're coming in. So you got these vehicles coming that are doing one of two things: they're either dropping people off or they're picking people up. And so you're in the middle of all that. You got to get to the area where you can drop off your baggage. You'll find signage everywhere, by the way, not to worry. And you'll give the baggage to the baggage guys, the sky cab guys, and they'll help you with the tagging of your bags and all that sort of stuff. Likely Carnival will have already given you or sent you or will send you soon your bag tag materials, which you can print off, and then you'll just take a pair of scissors and cut off bag tags, and you'll be able to staple them onto the handle of your luggage once you get to the terminal, because your airport guys are going to rip them off anyway. So wait until you get to the terminal for that. And then once you've handed off your bags, you're going to go into the terminal itself. And don't worry, there are ambassadors all over the place whose job it is to steer you in the right direction for where you need to go into the check-in counters. And these check-in counters, some of them are, they're like 200 feet long, and there's 35 of these check-in agents standing there. And you might be in a long line of 200 people. Don't worry about it. You're going to notice that once you're in that line, it's moving. It's just moving, because these check-in people, they've got to get you and maybe 2,000 passengers on a ship or more in like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And so it's efficient as all get up. Once you get through that, you'll go through security like the airport, like a security machine with your purse or whatever you're carrying with you. And then you'll come into the waiting area, and they'll have already given you some kind of a tag, some kind of a piece of paper. It might say blue on it or green. And there's a sign at the front of the room saying now serving, purple, the color purple, or number 44, or whatever it is, and you've got 48 or whatever it is. And then number 45 gets called, and as soon as they call your number or your name, your color of the tag you have, all you folks get up, and it might be 100, 150 of you at a time, and then you make your way to the front of the room, and you hand the first person at the front the colored tag. You show them your room key that you've already been given, your plastic room pass, and you're heading onto the ship. It's fantastic. Let me just check any more messages. First cruise, Matt said, Chevy said, very excited. Thanks for all your tips. We're going to try to keep it all to carry on, since we have the fast pass, so they can get off easier at the last day. Great. Yep, that'll work well. Matt, bring a swimsuit in your carry-on. Pool is always less crowded on the first day. That's right. The first day, so many people, they put everything they have into these large suitcases, including their swimsuits, that they're on the ship at about, let's say 11 o'clock. They're on the ship, and maybe they've gone to the buffet, maybe they haven't. Maybe they ate something for breakfast. They're not hungry yet, but they thought, oh, there's nobody in the pool. I could be in the pool right now. I could be in the jacuzzi right now. There's nobody in the spa at all. If you had your bathing suit with you, you could have gone right away. So if you bring it on a carry-on, you go to your room. When you check in, you got your card. You'll see the lobby first, by the way, with the atrium and everything. It's just beautiful. Make your way to your room, find out where it is, test your key to make sure you can get in. You got your swimsuit with you, put it on. Inside your room should be a robe to put on, and there'll be towels there, although you won't have to grab a towel because they have towels at the pool for you, that you don't have to use your own towels from your room. And then you can head to the pool and, bring some flops with you, and enjoy. While everyone else is scrambling around, see what's going on, you're already in the hot tub, relaxing and getting all loosened up, getting ready for the day. So that's a good idea. Let's see what we're saying. Yeah, we're going to the pool as soon as we can. Great. Just carry essentials in a small bag. Way to go, Matt. And you have immediate access to your room. Yeah, you'll be able to get right to your room right away. Even if you don't have your luggage in your room, you can you get on a cruise like I do with my wife. We immediately look for our room, find it, and go into our room and just check it out. Especially if it's a balcony room and you're looking around outside, or in your case, you'll have the view from your window. You want to see what it looks like. Fantastic. You'll want to get there and check out your bathroom and stuff. But I find it with my wife and I, if we get on at 11:30, 12 o'clock, our luggage might not arrive until 3 or 4, 5 o'clock in the evening. Sometimes we find that only one of the two bags shows up, or we have 2 suitcases and 2 carry-ons, like 2 smaller roller bags, and we find that 2 of them are there and 2 aren't. And eventually the other 2 will show. Relax, it's a cruise. Don't worry about it. It'll all work out. I'm showing 4 viewers on right now. If you're watching this channel right now and you haven't signed in, take a moment and tell me what town you're from. Where are you? where are you watching me from, and give us a thumbs up if the single is coming in okay. If you have any questions about going on a trip on a cruise, let me know. Be happy to talk to you about it. What else was I going to tell you about today? Somebody asked me yesterday about scooters. Should they be allowed on a cruise? These motorized scooters, and should they make scooters be in an elevator, a designated elevator? In the old days, 10, 20 years ago, someone who was who broke their leg or twisted their ankle or just can't walk anymore had to be in a wheelchair, pushed by somebody. Can you imagine being with someone where you have to push them in a wheelchair for the whole cruise? Not fun, especially on a bit of a tippy day. That isn't it is not a good time. Well, the modern invention of motorized scooters is out, and thank God for that. That makes life a lot easier. You can't really make people go to a special elevator for motorized scooters because the elevators are a certain size. They're engineered to handle the ship's movement. I'm thinking of the elevator shaft. It's up and down, and when the ship's at port, the elevator can work perfectly up and down inside the shaft. But when the ship is moving and tilting like this, the elevator still works. And they can only be of a certain size. They can't make them industrial sized, generally speaking. And so to limit scooters to one of 3 or 4 elevators makes no sense. And what if you have granddad in a scooter with 7 family members? What do you do now? Does he go by himself with only one person, and the other 7 or 5 have to go in another elevator? You break up the party, and kind of impractical, I suppose. But what are you going to do? Cruising with a scooter is a unique challenge. But boy, I'll tell you, having a motorized scooter on a cruise ship, that has saved and has allowed so many more people to keep cruising past years that maybe in the past they would not have been able to do. Let me just see what other notes we have. You can have early tender. Chevy in first says they also say that with the fast pass you can have early tender at the ports too, and able to get off earlier on disembarkation day. Yes, there is that. Although generally, a lot of cruise ships will offer you the night before you get off the cruise. They'll give you the form in the morning. When do you want to get off the cruise? Do you have a flight to catch early? Do you have a connection to someone picking you up? And you can request an early de-embarkation time based on your situation. Other passengers, they don't want to get off first. They want to get off as last. They want to stay on that cruise as long as possible because they're staying in the town that ship ported in. They're staying in that town for a couple of days, and so they are in no hurry because they're going into a hotel. And they can't check into the hotel until 3. So if they can get off of this ship at 12 or 1, great. They've got only 2 hours to kill before they're allowed to check in at the hotel that they're headed to. So it depends on your needs. You got to go to the airport, get to flight, get home. Yeah, you want to get off early and away you go. Thanks, Chevy and First, for coming. I really appreciate you watching. You can watch this video later tonight on the channel and watch it all you want and go from there. Now, for those of you who are watching live or catching this video later today, other topics I was going to mention today was on the day you get on the ship, the first day, something to keep in mind is like the steakhouse, the specialty restaurants. A number of these specialty restaurants are open and will be open on that first day, but they have no reservations because, of course, the folks who were on the cruise last night left by noon. They're gone. And now the new passengers are coming in, and they're coming on board from like 11 in the morning until maybe 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And some of these restaurants are open for lunch, or they're open for a dinner, and they just don't have very many reservations on that first day. And so to entice you to come to the specialty restaurant rather than go to just the buffet or to the grand ballroom in the back where there's no extra fee, to entice you to come on board and enjoy the specialty restaurant, they may offer a deal. I've heard deals where they have a half off. So instead of paying $25 a person to come into the specialty restaurant, it might only be $12.50, or they're offering you a free bottle of wine to come on in. So instead of spending $30 for a bottle of wine, no charge for a bottle of wine for 2 diners coming into the specialty restaurant. Worth checking into that as soon as you board. Normally, when you board the ship on the first day, the crew right there are going to hand you a flyer, and the flyer is filled with all the deals. all the promotions that they're trying to get you into, buy a Wi-Fi package, or go to the spa, get a spa package, or head to this specialty restaurant, or here's the thing on our bingo game, free bingo game, whatever the deal is. Specials in the casino. Sometimes they're handing, $10 of free play if you play tonight, this kind of stuff. So it's stuff it's worth looking into and just checking the deals and see what's going on. The other specials that they'll offer on embarkation day might be in the retail stores right on board, because again, the folks who are leaving, they're not buying very much in the retail store the morning that they're getting off the ship, because they know, I'm in Miami now, or I'm in Fort Lauderdale, and there's a mall just over there, or there's a Costco over there, and I'm back to, land prices for stuff. So some of these stores on the first day of the cruise, they may have a deal on the perfumes. They may have a deal on some of the T-shirts they're offering. You never know. But the opposite is true. And the last night, that last full day of a cruise, it's a sea day usually, and the ship is headed back to port because you're leaving the next morning. Those stores on those ships, they've got deals because they have quotas. And some of the staff and some of those stores, the staff is paid in commissions. They might get like a minimum wage to work there, but the majority of their upside is commissions. And it doesn't matter what they sell that wristwatch for, or that bracelet for, or those earrings. They get a commission on whatever the selling price is. They need to move product, and they got to hit their sales quotas, and they're offering deals. So it might be worth your while to go in there and just check it out and see if there's something in there that you've been watching the whole cruise. You've been looking at that bracelet, and you've been thinking, oh, gee, $225. I don't know if I want to spend that. And on the last day of the cruise, you could pick it up for $99 or $115, or whatever the deal is. Maybe that's enough to tip you over the edge and make you jump. So who knows? That's another deal. Now, the other thing I was going to talk about was a cruise is a week long, let's suppose, and you've got 3 or 4 stops. Bad news for the spa. Great news for you, but bad news for the spa, because 2,500 passengers, 1,800, 2,000 of these passengers they're getting off the ship and they're going on day excursions, and the ship is kind of empty, kind of quiet. And all those folks working in the spa, the folks who do the masseuse work, they give you the massage, where you get facials, manicurists, pedicures, couples massage, the fitness instructors, the health instructor, all those folks are paid a base salary plus commission on performance, and they're hungry for business. And on port days, the days that the ship is in port, they are desperate for customers. And you may find that, you go to you head for the spa, the night before you're going to be, say, in Jamaica for the day. And there's a big sign right at the front desk, tomorrow, all day massages, 30, 35, 40% off on a massage, or, get a manicure and a facial for 50% off, or get a facial, get a manicure for free. I mean, deals. So look for that, okay? And you may find that the spa might be offering some pretty good deals on some of these days where you don't have to pay full price, because on the sea day, when everyone's on board and they're stuck on the ship, why would the spa have to give you a deal? There's 25, 27, 4,000 passengers, however number of passengers are on the ship. On the ship right there, we got 4,000 paying passengers, and all we need is 150 to 200 to come to the spa, and we're booked up. You can't get a massage on day 2, but you can get one on day 3, that kind of thing. So keep that in mind for deals. The casino, don't overlook the casino. They have slot tournaments. They'll have blackjack tournaments. You can get like a $10 buy-in, and you can kill a couple hours in the casino on a sea day and have some fun, and it doesn't cost you a lot of money. Might get lucky and come in second place and get a free steak dinner. Come in first place and might win $500. Why not? The other thing too is on the casino, if they know you're a regular and you're coming in for these specials and you're hanging around a little bit, they're going to send you specials. They're going to send you flyers, emails all during the year. They remember that you were there, and if they've got a poker tournament or a slot tournament coming up, some of these cruises in the Caribbean or elsewhere, they're looking to fill up that cruise ship. The casino has allowed so many suites so many of the balcony rooms or inside rooms that they can offer at a steep discount to casino patrons. And you may be given offers that you can't find on vacationstogo.com or other sites, or not even mentioned on the cruise website. You might find a super deal that might just be the way to go. So keep that in mind. Something to check out. You never know. What else was I going to tell you? Oh, the coffee card. I have not talked about the coffee card. This is also kind of new. It sort of happened in the last few years. Cruise ships have figured out that if they have a Starbucks type bistro on board, there are coffee aficionados that are going to go there. I'm one of them. I love to have my latte in the morning, make one at home every day, and boy, I miss it. So I head down to the bistro and I order my latte. And the routine that I've developed is I'll get my latte in a to-go cup, and then I'll take that with me to the buffet at the back of the ship, where my wife and I are having breakfast together. And she's happy just having a regular cup of tea at the buffet. She doesn't want anything fancy, but I love my latte. You can't get a latte, a bistro latte in the buffet, not a chance. So I take that with me, and then I go to the buffet, take it there, and then I grab my food, and I'm at my table, and I have my latte, and I have my breakfast, all as well. Now, I have seen people who are buying these drink passes that are basically the bistro coffee, volume deal. And it's the kind of deal that if you drink, I think 2 or 3 in a day, so you got to like this stuff. If you're drinking 2 or 3 specialty drinks in a day from the bistro, it makes sense to buy the card. If you're only buying one, like I do first thing in the morning, and then I don't frequent the place until the next morning, I'm better off just buying my latte in the morning, charge it to my room, and leave it at that. And I find that the price of a large latte, at a Starbucks in the U.S. Runs me, $3.80 to $4.20, whatever the price is with tax, depending on the state I'm in. On the cruise ship, it's $3.80 to $4.50 a pop, the same price. I don't mind. I'm quite happy, and they taste great. They're made right on the spot. They got the bistro machine right there. You see them grinding the coffee fresh, and there they are making your latte right in front of you, steaming the milk, or in my case, I like a soy latte. I'm kind of peculiar, high needs kind of guy. What can I say? Anyway, what can I say? It's a great deal. So there's the coffee pass. If you like to get a latte or an Americano or a cappuccino, and then during the day you want to get something else, perfect. Head in there and use that coffee card. Sometimes it limits you to 2 or 3 or 4 drinks in a 24-hour period, and you can max it out, knock yourself out, and it's worth your while. Like I said, I've seen. I did it. I bought my latte there and took it to the buffet because I saw somebody else do it. I saw one of these other cruisers, and I thought, what a brilliant idea! Because the coffee in the buffet area. I hate to tell you, but somebody told me that it's actually just syrup. It's a dark coffee syrup that is mixed with hot water, and that's your coffee. And it's economical, fast to make, easy to make in volume. So if you've got 800, 1,000 passengers going through the buffet at breakfast time and lunchtime and dinner, you need to crank out 1,000 coffees or 800 coffees in 40 minutes. Using the syrup mixing type unit machines is what they're doing. And the coffee purist wouldn't be caught dead drinking that stuff, they tell me. And so they go to the bistro, they pay the price, they get the real freshly ground bean cup of coffee, and there you go. So there's another thing to kind of think about with regard to what to do on the cruise. And then I was going to talk to you today about a combo holiday idea. This is I've touched on this before, and I think I'm going to do a couple of videos on this as a specialty video, especially on certain cruises that I'll find as we go forward. But we're coming up to we're in wave season now for cruise ships. So right now the cruise lines are offering all kinds of deals for summer cruises, like starting in May and June, July, August. Cruises that are predominantly going to be in Alaska. Cruises that are going to be in Northern Europe or through the Mediterranean. They know that the cruise lines all move their ships to these 3 areas of the planet, and they hit up the summer cruising season big time. And hundreds of thousands of cruises have to be booked and committed to by travelers, between now and say the next month or so into February, March. So that these cruise lines know that they've got 85, 90, 95% occupancy on a majority of their ships for the majority of their itineraries in the summertime. However, if you've got a cruise ship in the Caribbean right now, servicing 7 and 10-day cruises for a bunch of passengers out of the U.S. or other spots, that ship is going to be in the Mediterranean for, say, May, June, July, August, September, and then in October it's going to come back to the Caribbean again. You got to get it from the Caribbean over to the Mediterranean. And several dozen ships, there'll be 30, 40 ships will leave the Caribbean area and head to Northern Europe or to the Mediterranean area in between April and May. And that's repositioning season for this guy. That means repositioning cruises are coming up. And we're just starting to see some of the prices coming down for some of these repositioning cruises, or repos, as I call them. And these repositioning cruises are going to get cheaper and cheaper until they reach a certain level of occupancy. The cruise ship line knows that it's a one-way deal. You get on in Miami and you're getting off in Rome, or you're getting on in Fort Lauderdale and you're getting off in Barcelona. There is no way back, right away off of that cruise ship. So you're gonna have to keep that in mind. Matt, thanks again. Talk to you soon. Anyway, if anyone's out there watching right now, let me know. Text in where you're from. Where are you watching me from? And tell me what your temperature is, because I'm in Creston right now and it's +2, about 35, 36 degrees. Let me know what you've got. I see we have a couple of viewers going right now. Welcome to my live telecast. On these repositioning cruises, I got to tell you, folks, I am seeing deals I've seen over the years, and I'm going to see this again, but I'm already starting to notice it. There's a couple of cruises starting to show up where you're on the ship for 16 days. You get on in Fort Lauderdale, and you're headed to maybe the Bahamas or Bermuda for a day or so. Then you're gone for 5 days at sea over to Tenerife in the Azores, and they've got a couple of stops booked for you there. And then the ship will go to, say, Barcelona, stop there for a night or 2 nights. Give you 2 nights in Barcelona. You sleep on board the ship and go to the city for 2 days. Fantastic. And then the ship heads to Italy and ends up in Rome. And it's a total of 16 nights. And you end up in Rome, Italy, when the whole trip is done. We're talking about a cruise that for an inside room, we're talking about $40 to $45 a night for this kind of a deal. And I tell you, where are you going to get a hotel room for $45 a night? Now, this is per person, okay? It's American money. So make that $90 a night for a couple in a 5-star setting, because these cruise ships are awful nice, minimum 4-star, but usually 5-star. And for $40, $45 a night, a base rate, man, is that a deal. And because it's a repositioning cruise, some of the cruise lines are offering all kinds of perks. On top of this crazy price, they're offering you other perks to commit to the cruise. How about no gratuities, prepaid gratuities? They'll pay the tips for you. They'll ensure that the staff gets the tip money. Then they'll offer you 250 minutes of free Wi-Fi. Or if you don't want that deal, how about we give you a $200 credit on your cabin? Or how about we give you a drink package for 2, like the base alcohol drink package for 2? Well, in some cases, these drink packages will run you, $50, $80, $90 a day a person for the drink package. You're on this ship for 16 days, pays for the cruise. So, deal upon deal. When it comes to a balcony, for example, you can get some of these reposition cruises where the balcony is $80 to $100 a night, $90 a night. Sometimes it's $70 a night. You're getting, class A accommodation for a bargain basement price, and you get to cruise across the Atlantic for the entire 16 days. You end up in Rome, Italy. You don't worry about the time change. You've had 16 days of time change going over. So it's 9 hours difference from Florida to Rome. Who cares? You're on Rome time when you get off that ship in Rome. You're all adjusted. There's no jet lag to deal with. Now you can enjoy Rome or Italy as a whole, all you want. All you need to do now is figure out how to get home. Well, getting home now from Europe in 2018 on an airliner is so much easier than even 10 or 20 years ago. 10 or 20 years ago, you had legacy carriers like British Airways, United, Cathay Pacific, or American Airlines. In Canadians' case, we had Air Canada or CP Air or whatever. There were a handful, maybe 5 or 6 airlines that we could book. And these guys, they'd stick it to you. They knew, oh, you want a one-way trip from Rome to New York, or Frankfurt to Chicago, or Toronto, or Los Angeles. They would charge you the round trip price. You wouldn't even get a deal for a one-way ticket. They wouldn't give you a deal for a one-way ticket. Well, discount airlines are now, out there, and they're not just discount tickets, discount airlines for domestic travel. Now it's for international travel. So now you can find one-way tickets across the Atlantic for really half the price of a round-trip ticket. So on a discount airline, if you can find a round-trip ticket from, say, Chicago to Frankfurt for, say, $750 or $600, a one-way for $350 is available. So you're in Rome on this repositioning cruise. You spend a week or two in Europe as a whole, and you ended up in Frankfurt. And you did that by design. You either bought a rail pass for maybe 4-day unlimited use of the rail pass over a 2-week period, or a 6-day unlimited over a 1-month period. You can buy a second-class rail pass or a first-class high-speed rail pass. 5 countries, 3 countries, 2 countries, whatever you want. You end up in Frankfurt, and you're going to fly back to the United States or Canada on a one-way ticket at a decent price. This is where this repositioning cruise, all of a sudden, coupled with the one-way flight back to where you're coming from, it's a killer deal. Now, if, of course, you had to get to Fort Lauderdale in the first place to get on that cruise, and you're from Chicago, you would have flown maybe Southwest Airlines one way. Southwest one way is cheap. You can do a one-way flight on Southwest. That's how they sell their flights per segment anyway. So you got the cheap flight to get to the ship. You got the cheap cruise to get to Rome. You got the cheap flight to get home from Europe back to North America, and you may be able to land a lot closer to your hometown than even back to Fort Lauderdale. So I'll tell you, you can put these cruises together. They're just absolutely fantastic. Looks like we got another viewer. I think we have 3 viewers now going live. We've had them coming and going all this telecast. Welcome to my YouTube live stream. Type in where you're from. Where are you watching me from? Are you watching me from the US? Are you watching me from California? What city? What's your temperature? Tell us what's going on. We've had viewers from Ottawa where it's 28 degrees, Vegas where it was 49, Georgia it was about 40, not very good. Here in Creston it's about 35, 36 degrees. Let me know where you're from and what's your temperature today. You got rain? You got sun? Is it any good? We're talking about cruising. We're talking about traveling. I'm talking about right now about putting a combo deal together where you can put a combination holiday together with a repositioning cruise that leaves from, say, the Caribbean area like Florida this coming April or May, heading to either Northern Europe or the Mediterranean. And when you get there, you can then tool around Europe as long as you want, and then take a one-way flight back home. And what a great little holiday. You're on board the ship for 14 to 16 days on the repositioning deal for maybe 40 to 70 bucks a night, depending if it's an inside room or a balcony per person. Cheap because they get fed too. And then you're in Europe and you're flying home on a one-way flight on a discount airline, and maybe you're bed and breakfasting it, or you're Airbnb-ing it in Europe and keeping it cheap. Way to go. I found another repositioning cruise that I'll be talking to you about in a little more detail. A couple more actually. These are the Mideast, and I've seen deals where you can get on a ship in Dubai and you can do a 15, 16-day cruise. I've seen one to Rome, but I've seen another one to Singapore. Now think about this. You're on a cruise ship from Dubai to Singapore, and then from Singapore, you can fly either to Australia or back to Dubai and from where you came from. In other words, if you're in North America and you're flying to Dubai, you can fly out of probably 12 major US cities to Dubai first on Emirates, spend 4 or 5 days there and enjoy Dubai, adjust to the time change and so on. Get on that repositioning cruise at super cheap prices. Get off in Singapore, enjoy Singapore for 3 or 4 days, maybe fly up to Hong Kong and check that area out, or down to Australia and check out Australia, or fly from Singapore in that area back to Dubai, spend a day or two there, and then from Dubai back to North America. I can tell you on Emirates, you can fly from North America to Dubai, Dubai to, or sorry, from maybe Singapore back to Dubai and Dubai back to LA. You can do those 3 segments. I'm going to tell you between $300 and $400 US per segment. Airlines love it when you book multiple segments with them. It shows them the loyalty, and they'll make you a deal for the segment. They'll, if you go 3 or 4 or 5 segments, the cost per flight starts to drop, and it becomes so cheap. You just start shaking your head and asking yourself, how do they make any money? Because on Emirates, from like Los Angeles, you can fly from LA to Dubai. That's a 13-hour flight, and 13 hours back, or 13, 14 hours back because of the westerlies, the winds. And then you can fly from, say, Singapore to Dubai. That might be 6-7 hours. You add up the number of hours that you're on the plane, and you're paying $400 a segment. I mean, that's like flying LA to New York. LA to New York at $400 is a good deal. How about Dubai to Los Angeles for $400 on a brand new A380 double-decker airplane? Economy on the Emirates A380, you can't hold. No U.S. domestic carrier can compete with economy on Emirates. We all know that. Have you flown Frontier? Have you flown other airlines in economy? You fly Emirates economy, you won't believe it. It's just a whole other world, and the attitude there is so much better. It's fantastic. Anyway, if any of you out there are watching right now and you've caught my channel in this live telecast, let me know where you're watching from. Tell me what the temperature is where you are. Give me a thumbs up if you're watching. Hope you're enjoying it. Anyway, to do a combo trip like this, as I was saying, you can fly from, like I say, from North America to Dubai, get a repositioning cruise, enjoy the locale you have, fly back to Dubai. Once you're in Dubai, you want to go now to Europe, fly Dubai up to Europe on Emirates Airways, 67 cities there, spend a week or 2 in Europe, back to Dubai, day or 2, and then back to Los Angeles. That flight, you're down to maybe $300 a segment, $350 a segment. You're getting deals. You just have to make Dubai your hub, and you have to just think out of the box. Get out of this New York to Frankfurt thing or Chicago to London thing. Avoid Heathrow. Avoid Frankfurt. The airport landing fees. You check your ticket, and United is charging you $400 for your fare, and then you're paying $400 or $500 for your airport charges. If you fly through Dubai, you check your ticket on Dubai, what the airport charges are, you'll be shocked. It's like $50. It's under $100. It's fractions. And if you're, again, a multiple segment flyer, the Dubai International Airport has got a killer price for Emirates passengers because it's the national airline of the UAE. And so you're saving unbelievable money flying on Emirates. By the way, I'm not being paid to do this, although, I would love to do a review on Emirates, how nice the flights are and how nice the planes are with my camera on board the plane. You just drop me a line on the descriptions below and I'll be there. I'll be happy to do a YouTube review on Emirates anytime. I'd love to be at that airport and do that too. Anyway, you can combine a repositioning cruise with a discount deal with these airfares, and you'll see places you've never seen before, and you average it all out on a per day basis, and you might have like a 42-day holiday that you've just put together, and you do the math and you go, my goodness, we're doing the whole thing for $120 a day a person for everything. Oh my gosh, with the airfare and the discount cruise and the meals, and yeah, you can really put together some really fantastically priced holidays. And you don't have to be in a hostel. You don't have to travel out of a backpack. You can be my age and enjoy, sites from all over the world. It's just so much. Susan Carlton is asking me a question. She's saying, asking, do you need to do this multi-stop airline ticket, these tickets through a travel agent to get the deals? The answer is no. You can do the multi-ticket deal either through Expedia.com, Orbitz.com, or Emirates directly. You can do it directly. And what I would recommend you do is I love using a website called kayak.com to check out the pricing. It's KAYAK.com, kayak.com. And they have a system where you can check for flights, either return flights, one-way flights, or multi-city flights. And there you can just enter the city you're departing from, where you're going to, the day you want to go. And there are times on Kayak where they'll show a little calendar beside your search, and there'll be little green dots on some of the dates. And if you hover your mouse over the green dot, it'll say super discount airfares available on this date. So that's another hint. But again, don't worry about that. Just be flexible with your dates if you want to be, or be hardcore about your dates if you want to be. Don't worry about it. Anyway, the thing about a multi-flight is you don't have to go from, say, like I said, from the U.S. to Dubai in this example, and then you must fly from Dubai to the next spot. No. You can go, one to Dubai, and then you're on a repo cruise if that's what you're doing. And the next flight you're going to take is Singapore or Hong Kong or wherever the ship dropped you off, or wherever you ended up traveling to after you got off the ship, and are flying now back to Dubai on Emirates. So you're making sure that the city you want to go from to Dubai is obviously serviced. So Hong Kong, Singapore, of course, Jakarta, Bangkok, yes, they do it all. So now you're back to Dubai. And from Dubai, you can decide, you might take another repo cruise if you're really going crazy. And this repositioning cruise takes you to Rome, or you're just coming home. It doesn't matter. You can take a flight to Europe and just do Europe and come back to Dubai and then go home. You could play that. You can't fly on Emirates from Frankfurt back to Los Angeles or New York, for example. You have to go through Dubai because that's your hub. So make that your hub, and make sure that when you get back to your hub, you take a couple of days off to just relax and whatever. Although you can, you can do the connect game, spend 5-6 hours at the airport and do your next flight. No problem. Whatever you can tolerate and the way you want it. That's the beauty of this whole system. You look at the multi-city deal and you put your itinerary together, and you and your traveling companion or companions, they'll say, okay, well, that last day is going to be a killer, but you know what? We're going home on that day, and that's what we're going to do, because we all have to be at work the day after, 2 days after. Fair enough. Whatever works for you. If you're retired like me or semi-retired like me, because I am working right now, but if you're semi-retired like me, I may have a little more time or flexibility to get back. Anyway, so once you've done that, you hit the enter button. It'll show you the prices. And on kayak.com, you're not just going to get Emirates prices. You'll get all the prices from all the airlines on a list. And you may find that you'll find something like maybe not necessarily Aeroflot. It won't be Aeroflot. There might be some airlines or combinations of airlines, 2 or 3 airlines, that the search engine has put together for you with a suggested itinerary. And now there are times where I have seen an airfare even cheaper than Emirates for the flights that you've wanted to book, from say LA to Dubai, and then Singapore to Dubai, and Dubai back to LA. You might find that British Airways and Aeroflot have the better deal, or Cathay Pacific is somebody else. But there's a catch. These aren't direct flights. These are connecting flights. And you look at some of them and they're like, 32 hours, 28 hours, where, a flight from LA to Dubai should be 13 hours nonstop. And a flight from Singapore to Dubai should be, Singapore to Dubai should be 6-7 hours or so. And then back from Dubai to LA should also be 13 and a half hours. So what you find, you'll scroll along and see the deals, but inevitably you'll find the Emirates deal. You'll see that all the flights are operated by Emirates, and you'll notice without question, I'm certain of it, 99.9% assured, they're all nonstop flights. And they're all on 777s or A380s, which are all less than 5 years old. These planes are virtually new. I think the oldest A380 that Emirates operates is 8 years old. I mean, these planes are fresh. They're world class, fantastic. And so check into that. So you might pay 100 or 150 more for this so-called multi, flight deal, but it's all nonstop. And so you do the math and go, oh, wow, I can fly these 3 flights and spend a total of 33 hours in the air for all 3 flights combined, all nonstop. Or I can go 58 hours. I have to stop in Athens, or I have to stop in Ankara, Turkey, or I have to stop in St. Petersburg, Russia. Avoid like the plague. Avoid this. Take the nonstops and go from there. So worth your while. So you can do it yourself. If you book it yourself through like Expedia, they've got that point system, and the more you book through them, the more points you get, and the points can be used for flights. If you book through Emirates, you can use their frequent flyer card. They have their own frequent flyer program. You use that, and you're now getting points on Emirates system. And in some of the hotels that you might stay at, you might be persuaded, gee, for $5 a night more, we can stay at this hotel and get more Emirates points, which leads to an upgrade down the road on an Emirates flight. You might be able to bump yourself up from an economy seat on Emirates to a business class seat on one of those legs on the next time you go. So keep that in mind. There's loyalty both ways, where Expedia might be able to give you immediate $10 off or $20 off your next hotel booking or what have you, where Emirates might, what they're offering is the chance for you to bump yourself up to business class on a 13-hour flight. Once in a lifetime opportunity if you're an economy passenger like I am. So that's something I would keep in mind. I know that I've done multi-flights on British Airways. I've done a multi-stage flight on British Airways, and even round trips on British Airways. And I've become a member of their One World Pass, whatever it's called. And on the next flight, like when I would book my next flight on British Airways, this is Canada to London and then London to Canada, that type of. The next flight that I would be looking to book on British Airways, I would find the deal on Expedia, and it would say, okay, your flight's going to be $1,300. Then I would go to British Airways and look at that same flight, and I would see what they're offering the flight for, because sometimes the airline's cheaper than Expedia. Not only did they have the same price, but they would say, "Oh, Bruce, what's your flight number? Oh, that card number of yours we gave you is." You entered your last name, and they go, "Oh, you're a frequent flyer. You flew with us a year ago. If you book this flight right now, you get $150 off the quoted price because you can cash in these points. You don't have to wait till you have enough points for the next flight. You can take the points you have now, and we'll give you $150 off this flight right now, and you get points on the flight you're going to take, which tells me that the next flight I take, I could take the option of using it right away for a $150 discount. I'll do that because sometimes I ask myself, well, when's the next time I'm going to be on this, this particular route from here to here on British Airways? I may not fly British Airways for 3 or 4 or 5 more years. And airlines that I take may not be on the same program that British Airways is on. So I'll take advantage of the deal while I'm being offered the deal, and I'll go. So on the airline game, there's a whole other world there. But boy, if you do your homework, you can become your own travel agent for these airlines and for these cruises and for these hotel chains. By the way, on the hotel chains, there's the Hotel Frequent Stay Club. I have the Hilton card, and the Hilton people are constantly sending me offers. Stay at a hotel Hilton property, whether it's the top one or the second, or third, fourth, fifth. Any of the Hilton properties, we'll throw you all kinds of points, and you can use those points for free nights on future stays. And I've taken advantage of it, and it's worked beautifully. I don't find any problems with the hotel that I'm coming to, where I'm staying one night for free because I'm just driving, say, from Canada to Las Vegas, and I want to spend a night on the way down. I get to that hotel. I've already booked it online. I booked it with points, and the front desk, they couldn't be nicer. They're absolutely as if I'm paying cash or paying with a credit card on the spot. They take great care of you. It's a really good deal. So again, you can use partial rewards or total rewards, or you can use the credit card that gives you the best points deal whenever you use your credit card to pay for any of these things. And I recommend you do it all. If you can get, you can get a really good deal on Emirates, and the points are what you do. You take Emirates points, but you use your credit card that gives you all kinds of loyalty points on the credit card. On top of that, double whammy. Then there's the hotels through Hilton or Marriott or whatever, and you got their loyalty card, and you're booking it and paying it with your credit card, which gets you these points. Bingo, another double whammy. You're renting a car from Hertz or Enterprise, and you got their corporate card or their point card, and you're using you're just piling up the points on top of the points on top of the points to get the deal. And in that repo cruise, the repositioning cruise, you paid with it using your credit card and you get a whole bunch of points. These are points that, again, might give you a free flight down the road, give you free hotel stays, give you cash back, whatever the deal is. If you're crafty enough and you're dedicated enough, you can put these deals together and you can figure out pretty quickly, man, I spent $6,000 on this combination cruise, airfare, hotel, car rental deal, but I got back 10, 12% in perks that I can use now or use later from using certain frequent flyer cards, my credit card with these points, or the cashback cards. Take advantage of all this stuff because you're the travel agent and you're getting that commission. That is commission to you for doing all that work, and you deserve it. Why give it away to somebody else? Why not even take advantage of that deal? It's being handed to you on a silver platter. I would take the deal. Okay. If there's anyone out there who's watching this channel that hasn't already, type in where you're watching me from. Let me know where are you and what's your temperature right now. I'm curious to know where my viewers are coming from, how many I have. I know some of you have come and gone as I've been on this little presentation today. I'm just getting ready to wrap it up here in the next minute or two, so I'm losing my voice. These are early days for me. Those of you who are watching this or have watched this, I am growing my YouTube channel in various ways. I have now 238 subscribers. The last time I looked, I don't think I've lost anybody today. I'm gaining them, 7 from yesterday to today, which is just fantastic. I'm trying to get my YouTube channel to a high number of subscribers. I want to break 1,000 in the next few months. And I want to do these live telecasts where I can open the floor to whatever questions you want to ask about traveling, cruising, how to find a good cruise deal, how to find a good airfare deal, hotel deals, specials on the cruises, policies, rules, deals, what to get on the cruise, what not to get on the deal, what not to get, drink packages, specialty restaurants, you name it. And I thank everybody who's been watching me and sending me texts and saying hi to me. It's great. I really appreciate it. I know right now it's very early days for me. I'm going to build a following on this live streaming channel. And hopefully it'll get to the point where I'll have so many questions I won't be able to answer them all. And I'll just have to answer you after the stream is over and do the best I can to get back to you. Again, thanks for watching my channel. Thanks for subscribing to my channel. It's just great to know that I have people watching me from just all over the world. Here's this guy talking to his computer screen here in Canada. If there's anything you want me to cover on my videos, let me know. I'll be happy to do it. I've got videos in the can and being put together right now that I'll be releasing over the next few days and weeks. And I'll be doing more of these live chats as we go forward. This is Bruce. I'm going to say my goodbyes with Traveling with Bruce. Thanks for watching this long chat, this live stream. I will see you next time on Traveling with Bruce. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.